Hi, and welcome to your tutorial in reference to APA-style reference citations, what you need to know. Before we get started, there's some materials you'll need to gather. Download and print the APA Reference Practice Problems handout. Find a pencil and eraser, and some scrap paper for the knowledge check practice. This is your helpful hamster Boomer. He's going to be your learning guide throughout this tutorial. He likes to pop in with helpful tips on how to work in APA. Speaking of APA, let's get started. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to recognize the key elements of a proper APA reference citation. You'll be able to complete a book citation, an online journal article, and a website. You'll revise 3 different types of incorrect reference citations using an APA-style template as a guide. Some topics covered in this lesson are: what is APA, why you should use APA citations, and some external resources you can go to for help. You'll learn how to create a book reference citation, a website reference citation, and an online journal article citation. After each type, you'll complete a practice problem. Then you'll have a final knowledge check and a summary. So what is APA? APA stands for the American Psychology Association. It's a common formatting style for formal research papers in the social sciences. Boomer the hamster wants you to remember, students are expected to maintain the highest level of integrity in their academic work. Plagiarism is against your institution's academic honesty policy, and it's also against the law. So it's important to properly cite your work. But it can be a little overwhelming sometimes with all the different formats. It'd be nice to know a place you can go for help. The OWL site is a great reference tool to use. The OWL site contains general rules for formatting in-text quotes as well as your selected references. There are many templates available here to help you format your unique source. Now that we know a little bit more about APA, we're ready to finally create some citations of our own. There's 2 different types. There's in-text citations and reference citations. For the purpose of this tutorial, we'll be looking and focusing on just the reference citations. So here's some characteristics all reference citations will tend to have in common. You'll have authors' names, always listed last name first. You'll have the date of publication in parentheses, titles, usually in italics, location information such as the city and state the source was published in, the name of the publisher, and a URL if applicable. Let's look at how to cite a printed book first. Here's the basic template pattern. You can use templates like this to help you fill in information. For any APA reference citation, list the author by last name, then first initial and middle initial if available. The year the book was published in goes in parentheses. The book title is always italicized. If the book has an edition number, put it after the title in parentheses. Finally, add the city and state the book was published in. Then a colon and add the publisher. Here's an example of what a real book citation might look like. You can see the author's names are listed last name first. They don't necessarily have to be alphabetically. They're listed in the order they're shown on the source. If you put the year in parentheses, followed by a period, titles in italics with all keywords capitalized. The edition number goes in parentheses here. Then you have city, state, colon, publisher. A period closes your citation, and you're done. There sure was a lot of punctuation in that to keep track of. Where do I put periods? Where are there commas? Helpful Hamster has some tips on punctuation. A comma goes after every last name. If more than one author is listed, separate authors with a comma. Use an and symbol in between the last 2 authors' names. A period goes after every initial and every section. And finally, close the entire citation with a period. Now it's your turn. Pause your tutorial now and look at problem 1 on your APA reference handout. Complete the problem, and then check back here and play the tutorial again for the answer to see if you're correct. You can use the template here on your screen or on your handout to help you. Good luck! Were you right? Helpful Hamster has some suggestions for things to look out for the next time you format a citation. Read his helpful hints to see if you got all the corrections completed. Then continue on. Now we're going to look at how to cite a website. Here's some characteristics to look out for. You want to list the full URL in the text of your paper. You do not need to include it in your reference list if you're citing just an entire website. Here's an example of what citing a website might look like in your paper. You just cite it in text like this. So for example, if I was going to write, for more information on how to format references with APA, please visit the OWL page at, and then I would include the full URL for the OWL site in parentheses. But what if you want to cite an article on a website? Well, then we need a bit more information. You need to list as much information as possible. Don't be lazy. If you can't find it on the specific site page you're on, try the home page to see if you can find an author or a date of publication there. Try to find the author's names, the publication date including the year, the month, and the day if possible. If you can't find the month and day of publications, then just list the year. And if you can't find any publication date information, use the abbreviation lowercase n period, lowercase d period, which means no date. Then write retrieved from and paste in the full URL. And remember to remove hyperlinks from your copied links. Here's an example of an article on a website reference template that you can use to help you format your source. And here's an example of what it would really look like. As you can see, you have the author's names. Make sure they're listed in the order they appear on the article. For the date portion, the year goes first with a comma, followed by the month spelled out, and then the day, close parentheses. Next, you write the title, capitalizing key words. Then you write retrieved from and include the link, the full link. Now it's your turn. Please reference your handout and complete problem number 2. When you're finished, check back here and see if you're correct. Were you right? Helpful Hamster has some tips to see if you missed any corrections in your citation. Remember to capitalize keywords. You can remove unneeded punctuation and make sure the date is in the correct format. Also, the hyperlink was removed. How to cite an online journal. How to cite an online journal is something every academic scholar should learn how to do. They are a very popular source. This can get a bit tricky. Again, you'll need the author's names, the year of publication, the article title, and the title of the journal the article was published in. The title of the journal is italicized. The volume, italicized, and the issue numbers in parentheses, if they are available, a page range, and a DOI number. That stands for Digital Object Identifier. It's a number that begins with a 10 and a dot, followed by a list of numbers. Or, if you can't find that, use the full URL. How to cite an online journal article. This can get a little tricky as depending what link you have, there's 3 different ways to do that. So the first one we'll look at is when you know the DOI number. You always want to default to using the DOI number instead of a URL if you have the option. This is preferred because it's more reliable, as URL addresses often change over time. In this template, we know the author's name and the DOI number. If we have less than 7 authors, we can keep listing them, separating them by commas. If we have more than 7 authors, we should reference the OWL site to see how to format such a special case. Remember, do not alphabetize the authors in your online journal reference. They should be listed in the order they appear on the article. The next kind of online journal reference template, we have all the same information that we need in blue here, and then this time the DOI is listed with an HTTP prefix and then the 10 dot number. So if your DOI appears in this format, you follow the same template, except after the page range, you just paste the link. You do not write DOI with the colon. Just paste it like that. The third version is if you have no DOI, you use the URL. So you write out everything exactly the same, and after the page range, you write the phrase retrieved from and paste the full URL. And that's it. This is an example of what an online journal reference might look like. In this example, we know the DOI, but it is in the HTTP form. So we have the author's name, the title, the journal title in italics, the volume number in italics, the issue number in parentheses, followed by the page range, and we pasted the full DOI link. Now it's your turn. Please return to your handout and complete problem number 3. When you're finished, play your tutorial again to see if you are correct. Were you right? Helpful Hamster has some tips to help make sure that you didn't miss anything. He wants you to be great at formatting your citations. So pause now if you need to check. If not, please continue on. Now you'll be presented with 3 multiple choice questions. Pause your tutorial after you see the question appear. Select the best answer or answers by writing the letter of the choice down on a separate sheet of paper. After you make your final selection, play the tutorial again to check your work. Immediate feedback will be provided to you. Repeat the steps for each question. Good luck. How did you do on your assessment? If you need to review, you can go back at any time. But for now, Helpful Hamster has some tips for good practice to remember when you are creating your citations. Please put your notes in your own words. Keep track of referenced websites. Keep track of details such as authors' names, dates of publication, and page numbers. Enter your work into a citation management program like Turnitin to check for accidental plagiarism. Capitalize all keywords in your citations. Book titles and the title of the journal the article is published in are italicized. Watch your use of periods, commas, and colons. Always reference resources such as OWL to double check your citations are accurate. In this tutorial, you have learned to be considered a responsible, ethical scholar and avoid being accused of plagiarism, you must properly cite your sources. You've learned how to create 3 popular types of APA references. You've learned about a resource you can access via the web for more help with APA citation, the OWL site. Congratulations! You have now completed this amazing APA citation tutorial. You are now heavily armed with the literary ethics you'll need to battle ethos and justice and become the ultimate professional scholar. Remember, only you can prevent scholarly injustice. Thank you.